Hi, how are you? My name's Beta, and today I want to go over your green flags about the furry fandom. That did not really describe what we're doing today, so it's pretty much going over the positive, cool, and good things about furry that are very special and unique to you. So for a bit of context as to why I'm doing this, recently I found that I've been doing a lot of drama videos, like a lot more than I usually do. And even though my intention might be for us to learn from it and see what the solution might be so it doesn't happen again or so that the situation is less bad next time, in the end, furry drama isn't a good thing. And so as a little bit of a palate cleanser, I wanted to do this video. I asked you guys to send me your furry green flags. What are some traits or aspects about furries or the fandom that you love to see and give you hope for the community? I want to go over them in a video later to show some of the positivity and good that's in the furry fandom. So let's get started. So what are some traits or aspects about the furry community that you guys really liked that you wanted to share with me in that tweet? The seemingly endless acceptance and understanding of the fandom never ceases to amaze me. There is a special kind of kindness and inclusiveness that not only has helped me discover more about who I am, but for so many others I see in chats and threads every day. And that is absolutely true. That's one of the big things about furry, is just how inclusive and open it is to many people who wish to join it. And I do mean that wholeheartedly. In like the 20 years of my life leading up to becoming a furry, I had never met so many genuinely empathetic and caring people. People aren't usually nice and friendly to you, so it was such like a weird shock to see that happen when I first joined furry, but this just ended up being a core factor to the community as a whole. That's the good thing about a hobby or community like this. It's not so cut off and unwelcoming. It pretty much is. If you like furry anthro-animal characters and want to be a part of the community, you're welcome to be a part of the community. And in the end, it really does make a huge difference for those that do want to be a part of it and want to take that step to, trying to find themselves or trying to express themselves in a proper manner. It's pretty much a creative outlet if you think about it at the end of the day. At the very bare minimum, furry is a creative outlet. It's a creative hobby. So yeah, pretty much this one reply put into words what I have been feeling about furry for the past 6 years I've been here. So thank you for that. But either way, let's keep going. Whenever furries stick up for innocent people, like the 2 stories that went viral of furries protecting a homeless person and someone who was getting attacked by their significant other. Okay, I don't remember these stories specifically, but I have seen this happen before, especially within like news articles where like furries come to the rescue to help someone who is in need of help. I think there was some incident with like an Uber driver or a Lyft driver where they were being attacked or someone was being attacked. And so some furries at a local convention where this was happening just outside the con or the main hotel stepped in to help. And that's what I love about furries just in general. They are so incredibly willing to help, especially when someone needs it, whether it's asked for or not. I mean, in the case, even if it wasn't asked for, I think it would have been like the good Samaritan thing to do to step in and help, especially in situations where someone innocent is being hurt. It's a very small thing that happens every so often, but it just kind of reminds you that there are good people out there. There are a lot of good people within furry. And no matter how big or small that it is, they want to help. And that's what I love about it. I love when people talk about their personas like they're living people, saying how much joy they bring and how much they've helped their owner through life. The joy and help these little drawings can bring us is truly amazing. I'm so thankful for my fursonas. Yes, I absolutely agree. Even though a fursona quite literally is just a fictional character that will never really be brought to life fully, it might be brought tangibly to life through fursuits, through furry art, through the personality that we put into it. It may never be a fully living thing, but the fact that furries consider their fursonas characters that they really put their heart and souls into, I think is what makes furries very special and unique. It's the whole idea of roleplay that extends so much past that. It's not just roleplay like you're playing a character, it's a character that you built up that isn't just for the sake of roleplaying, but for the sake of even just yourself. I've seen a lot of people put their hearts and souls into their fursonas, literally like down to the personality that they have that is their fursona, and they feel really passionate about that. And that's what I love. The small things like a little doodle or drawing of someone's character can really make their day. They want their fursona to mean something, or they want to put on a character that they really feel they can embody. That is a furry green flag, or I guess a main aspect of furry outside of a green flag. I can't tell if these are green flags or just, parts about the furry fandom that we like. Oh, and here's the OG green flag furry tweet that I ended up seeing that inspired me to actually do my own tweet and by proxy this video. All right, let's go the opposite way. What's your furry green flags? Things that you really like to see in people or our fandom. Mine is the people who hoard multiple species pics and gifs and send them to friends with those sonas. getting sent red panda gifts. Oh, that's actually really wholesome. That is like a super niche little thing, but I do relate with that a lot. It's kind of like the same thing of finding that one TikTok or meme or Twitter post that that one friend who likes that one specific thing would really appreciate you sending them. Like all my cat friends, I find all these cute cat pictures and videos that I end up sending to them because I'm like, I know you like cats. Here, have more cats. Look at this one, he's really cute and he meows aggressively. I love doing that with friends, and just seeing that is more of a commonplace thing, just in general, not just furry, it's really heartwarming. You know, ultimately, everyone's looking out for one another or thinking about one another, and that's really sweet. Honestly, the first thing that comes to mind is how the overall fandom reacted when the dog bomb situation happened in 2019. There was an immense amount of support for him, plus charity donations and people coming together to share stories, condolences, memories, compassion, etc. That is a really big thing that I don't think is talked about a lot within furry. Whenever someone needs help, or there is someone that is in their time of need, like immense need, immense support, immense community, the furry fandom is there for them, especially if they've been a very big contributor to the fandom and community as a whole. I love getting to see that. The whole dog bomb thing that happened back in 2019, as much as I don't remember it as much, seeing that happen all throughout furry social media was such a genuinely heartwarming experience, just seeing the community come together to support this one cause, which I believe was support for ALS and ALS charities and all that. It was genuinely very, very wholesome to see. And that's a whole aspect about furry that I don't think is talked about that often. The idea of philanthropy. Like, yeah, we look at the numbers at the end of conventions about like, this is how much was donated to this charity associated with the con. And we're just like, oh yeah, cool, yay, yippee, woohoo. And it's like good, you know, because naturally our support goes towards those who do need it, charities and foundations as such. But I don't think we really talk about how much that actually does make a difference and how much that has added up in the many, many years of furry conventions and furry events happening. It's not something, you know, to flaunt, of course, but it's something to take a note of just how much the furry fandom has supported in the philanthropic sense. Even if we don't think about it or don't talk about it as a big, prominent thing about it, it's something at the core of furry that has happened for years. So I just want to say, furries, y'all are lovable and great. I love the creativity, the inclusivity, and the freedom of expression. Pretty much what we talked about before, being inclusive and welcoming, inspiring creativity, and not feeling like you have to hide away who you are or what you want to express about yourself within a community that's very much welcoming of that. That's something that I kind of had to get a grasp of for a long, long time, even when I was a furry. Just being able to express a side of myself that I very much was able to in the right environment, of course, without feeling like I was going to be shamed or shunned for it. That's something that I loved about it. I thought for some time I had to be like not one of the cringy furries so I wouldn't be, you know, put on blast or anything like that. But at the end of the day, it's like, dude, I just want to live my best life. I'm here for a limited time, so I'm going to do that. It has done so much for my self-confidence and putting myself out there without feeling that anxiety of doing so. And it's made me feel genuinely good about myself. So I want everyone to know in the furry community and everyone who has supported me so far, just thank you. Like, genuinely thank you. I hope this helps. I find the most joy in making people smile while still having fun being my derp self. This is a vid from back in 2015 when I was invited to a kid's birthday party. Making people of all ages smile even just a bit brightens my day. My goal is to continue to make people smile, and I always try my best to spread all the positivity I can to others. We need it in this world. Now, I'm not sure what the context is because I don't have the video on hand, but if it's what they described of showing up to a kid's birthday party, I'm assuming in fursuit as their character, I'm sure you made those kids and families' days. Just being there, existing, putting smiles on people's faces. That's what I love about furry too, you know. To some extent, when you have a fursuit, it's not just you're looking to go around and exist as an animal character. You want to spread joy and happiness to others. You don't want to just exist there and stand around as an animal dog. No, you want to go around in fursuit. And it makes the experience a lot better if you going around in fursuit, doing your thing, interacting with people, makes other people happy. You know, if you're making people happy by doing what you do, that's a really good serotonin boost. And at the end of the day, I think that's what a lot of furries strive for when they fursuit around as their character. You know, as much as they might want to fursuit around with friends or interact with them, they want to make others happy by the interactions they have while they're in fursuit. And I love that it doesn't just have to be in furry. It can be outside of furry, where if you're fursuiting around and people are interacting and having a good time about it, it's spreading joy. It's great. Some people love it. Some people are a huge fan of the whole fursuit, furry costume thing. They're fascinated with it. And having moments like that where you can really spread joy in a moment and make people's days go from like a 10 to a 100 out of 10, that's really nice to see. That is a really heartwarming experience. All right, next one. Fursuit helpers are worth their weight in goddamn platinum. I'm talking people that help fix seams in suitors' suits, help run the fursuit lounges, map out the floor plan of a whole-ass hotel to beat a fursuit parade path, do fursuit spot repairs on con floors. Okay, I want those to know, those like on-the-spot fursuit repair people at cons, you are lifesavers, genuinely. I saw one that had like a little setup in the main lobby of MFF this last year, and it was genuinely the most wholesome thing to see. I don't even think they were like charging people for it. It was just you go up, ask for a little bit of help with something, and then they'll like fix it for you. If there wasn't like someone already waiting in line or someone that they were already helping, it was just like a nice little thing to see. There are just a lot of people within furry events that are willing to help, and that is what they want to do. And I think that's something that should very much be highlighted. And that's what I love with replies like this. It's like such a niche little thing that you really love to see within furry. So let's keep going. I mean, I love the fact where I can be at a party with a room full of people from so many parts of the world in different walks of life, yet we all share such a fun and interesting hobby. Some of the best people I've met have been through this fandom. Oh, I love that. Just getting to meet so many different people, especially from different walks of life, that's not something that's talked about either. Like the diversity in the furry fandom, how many different people from all around the world there are that want to partake in this hobby, which makes sense, especially knowing like the baseline interest of furry being anthropomorphic cartoon animal characters, which even then might not be the baseline for some people getting into the hobby. Just goes to show that many different people can have an interest in furry, and the fact that we have such a big community that ends up resulting in situations like this where you meet all sorts of different kinds of people is really great. One of my favorite things about the fandom is the support they give to creative people, whether you're an artist, an animator, a musician, or even a YouTuber. It's great to see creative people being included and to see the respect given to them for their hard work. That's another thing that I'm very surprised and happy to know, is that the support for the creative side of the community, those that really are like out there doing stuff that isn't directly associated with furry, like fursuit making, artistry, or all that, participating in other hobbies adjacent to furry, like music, videography, photography, video making, YouTubing, streaming. There is a lot of support for those different communities. Like, I've seen it time and time again. Like, I'm not even a part of the music community within furry. I have a bunch of friends that are musicians that do create music, but from what I've seen, even from a distance, the support there is immense. Like, it just goes back to what I said, where the furry fandom takes care of one another to an extent, especially within those sub-communities within furry. And the bottom line is just everyone is supportive of others trying to create something. But let's keep going. When a tragedy happens to them, no matter how small, their instinct is to prevent others from suffering as they did. If this is consistent, green flag, probably a good person. Of course, the opposite of this green flag is, if I have to suffer, so too should everyone else. That's another thing that I've realized, and I've kind of taken into account just naturally with how I do things. If I'm suffering from something, like if I'm in pain from something happening in life, I want to prevent that from happening to those that I know and to those who I see might be experiencing that as well, so that they don't have to experience the pain that I did. God, that is deep. I mean, at the end of the day, that just comes down to being a really nice and conscientious person, empathetic. You know, if you are experiencing some pain or hardship and you get through it, for some, there's the natural feeling that you don't want to see that happen to someone else you know, or someone just who might be experiencing something similarly. You want to help them out. And I've helped that many times through many different hardships. And that's what I've just noticed within furry is a very big thing. And it ties back into empathy at the end of the day. Being empathetic, being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes and understand that, maybe not 100% of the time, but at least be someone there to at least let them know that they're being understood. That does so much more for many different things throughout life. Just being there and letting people know who are experiencing similar things to you, letting them know they're not alone. Still, I kind of like this one. That's a small thing to take a note of. I like it. Acceptance. From my experience, furries won't judge you for who you are. We're all weird and we love it. Like we said before, acceptance is a very big thing. Inclusivity. I especially like the last portion of this. We're all weird. Like, naturally, furry is just a weird hobby. Like, we have this desire, this want to dress up as animal characters that we create that resemble us or resemble some personality or something that we want to put on. And at the end of the day, it is like some weird form of roleplay. It's just naturally weird. Does it mean it's a bad thing? No, furry is not a bad thing, but it is weird. You just have to understand that. And we all acknowledge that. We're all a part of this weird, big fandom, hobby, community, and we just kind of go with it. I accepted that a long time ago. I mean, getting into furry, it was kind of a weird thing of knowing like, oh, I'm going to be seen as a weirdo from now on. I don't know how that's going to go for me. And then it just ended up being like, doesn't really change anything. I think at the end of the day, I was just naturally a weirdo, with or without furry. I feel like because we naturally admit that we are weird by being furries, being unapologetically ourselves, enjoying our hobbies and whatnot, makes this community so much more special. It makes it so much more meaningful that this is sort of the card, the trait about us that we're willing to take. That alone means that this community is very special. It might be a somewhat weird green flag, but when a fellow furry is happily open about it to their people, there's no shame in hobby, and it feels like it also means that they surround themselves with other quality beings. That is a very good point to make as well, and you know, I like that. I like hearing about others who are able to share their furry interests with those that might not participate in the community but love hearing about it. I know not everyone has this either, you know, of like family or friends outside of furry that want to hear about what they're doing within the furry community, but it's always nice to see like non-furry friends and family that are supportive of what their furry family member or friend is doing, whether that's listening to their passions or interests or hobbies, which we love it when people listen to what we're passionate about, or even a step further, going to these conventions or events, seeing what the fandom is actually about. I've had plenty of non-furry friends who have just been curious about what I do and what really makes me happy, that they've gone to furry conventions to see what it is that I do, what it is that I enjoy about this big community. And I know that's more of a normie green flag than anything. It's still just really wholesome to see. Like, whenever I've seen furries bring their parents to furry conventions or other non-furry friends, it's just a heartwarming thing to see at the end of the day. It just goes to show that that friend is like really genuinely interested in them as a person. I love seeing that. Oh my gosh. Out of any community I've seen, the furry community has given so many people growth, opportunities, and support in wide ranges of either hobbies, interests, self-expression, or even supporting people for being themselves or helping. No other community does this better than we do. Honestly, very well said. I've got nothing really to comment on this besides that's just, the furry fandom has endless possibilities for people, and I think having a community that offers so much for so many people to such an extent of self-expression and growth as people, I think that's awesome. I think this comment speaks in and of itself. I have nothing else to add with this. This is just really well said overall. Pretty much summarizes all my feelings about the furry community, and I'm sure plenty of us feel the same way. Let's go on to the next one. I really love the generosity of the fandom at times. Every con has a charity it donates to, and often when a member is super down on their luck with illness or finances or such, the amount of support sent their way is amazing. I always love to see it. Like we said before, philanthropy with furry is a huge thing, and pair that just with furries being very empathetic and loving and caring about one another, it shows tremendously. When a member of the community is down on their luck or needs help, furries are very prone to supporting, and that's just one of the many things that I love about it. It's a very good point. I love to see it. People who ensure a safe and welcoming space by ensuring racism, transphobia, homophobia, ableism, etc. is not tolerated there. Now, as much as I think that this is a bare minimum that should exist in pretty much every community out there and every hobby, I'd like to argue that furries do a pretty good job at trying to hold others accountable for bad behavior and bad actions. Now, there's no perfect way to really do it either. I do want to acknowledge that, and I know that furry Twitter has a tendency to be very interesting, where some folks might be upset with one another. It might not have anything to do with what was mentioned in the previous tweet, and then it gets just blown out of proportion. You know, we see that with how the internet goes. But I think it should be at the very least acknowledged that furries do a very good job at holding bad actors accountable. Honestly, as a person who has an invisible physical disability, just simply getting respect for poodling or ripping my head off in con space instead of hate and snarky comments about magic ruin honestly truly makes me feel like I belong in this fandom. It means so much to me. I do want to add a point to this because I have discussed about like poodling and people making remarks about like breaking the magic and whatnot. A lot of times you will really only see that online. Like a lot of the drama that you see on furry Twitter, it usually stays on furry Twitter. It's usually not like something that extends into the IRL portion of furry. And so if you see people that might be opposed to poodling or might be making comments online, 99% of the time, that won't happen IRL. And I think that's a good flag in and of itself. Just because furry Twitter, furry drama, the furry side of the internet exists, doesn't mean that it's fully representative of what the experience is like in the community when you are there IRL with other people experiencing it. You know what I mean? The internet aspect is different from the online aspect, and I always preach that. And that's good though. You know, at the end of the day, we don't know everyone's background on why they might want to fursuit a certain way or not, but we're not here to assume or judge. We're just here to have a good time. And at the end of the day, if you're fursuiting and enjoying your own comfortability with it, that's awesome. It shouldn't be anyone else's business. And I think furries do a pretty good job of doing that. It's either like fully fledged support and praise, or it's just, we'll just let others do their own thing. And sometimes that's all that's needed. A thing I like about the community is acceptance. No one bats an eye if I were to mention I like wearing jeans to bed instead of pajamas. It's a safe space and won't be judged. Okay, now hold on. Jeans to bed? I'm kidding. Do whatever you want. At the end of the day, it's not going to ruin anything for me. But I am going to ask, is that comfortable? I'm more so curious about the appeal. And if it's because at the end of the day, you just want people to react to it, I respect that. But in all seriousness, no one here is really judging. It's more out of like a curious why. When they give you the same energy back, not in a bad way, being able to hype each other up. I mean, that is a green flag. I feel like that's more of just meeting someone you're on the same wavelength with, or like someone who might be a friend, you know, getting to know someone. I feel like that's the energy of it. The energy of making a new friend in a very hype moment where you both are on the same wavelength and you understand one another. You might have just met like 2 seconds ago, but you know, like looking at each other with whatever moment that's happening, whether it's at a party or some event on the con floor or something within furry. You just see it and you see that person and you interact with them and know, okay, this is going to be a good time. That I feel like is a green flag, but that just kind of comes with naturally meeting people in life too. At the end of the day, this is all just the furry experience, so that's good. Honestly, as a person who's had to care for a lot of people with different physical disabilities, I'm super happy when I see cons and even local gatherings make an effort and space to help individuals with all accessibility needs. Quiet rooms, easier access to seating, etc. Lines up with what we mentioned before, inclusivity, conscientiousness. I guess accessibility is a new thing. Making room for others and helping others when it's needed. I know at the end of the day, it should come down to a just, hey, people should do this just as is. It shouldn't be one of these things that needs to be praised per se, but I think it's something to include because it goes along lines of conscientiousness and caring for others and making sure others are taken care of. A lot of furs have genuine love and kindness that you can't find anywhere else. It's a unique community where you can actually feel like you belong and not be targeted for your identity if you pretend that Twitter doesn't exist. I mean, the last portion, absolutely. But that's also whenever you go on the internet, period. That's just life. Again, what we said before, IRL portion of furry, very, very different from what you experience on furry Twitter. But that's what you just get to see a lot of when you go to these conventions and experience it. If you really look around and see how people are treating one another, it really is with a lot of love and genuine kindness. You don't really see that same amount of love and energy in other communities and hobbies. At least the ones that I've been a part of. Maybe there are some other ones, I don't know, but at least in furry I've seen that a lot. Like just unconditional love. Honestly, the wholesomeness when it happens, like when I went to Furlandia, everyone was super nice. No drama, violence, drugs, or anything. Everyone was respectful. Well, I mean, if you're in a con space, yeah, things are going to be a little bit curated to an extent. But also, everyone's just nice in general. Everyone's looking to have a good time and help everyone else have a good time too. And obviously, you know, the aspect of no drama at furry conventions, usually there isn't. And usually what you hear about or see with drama from like the online perspective is usually between like 3 to 4 people, and like the 4 other people are like con staff dealing with some other person or some situation happening. And it's supposed to be very minimal. It's supposed to be put to the side so that you don't really see or experience that at the con. They take care of it accordingly without making it a bigger thing than it might already be. And that's why I'm going to say a personal green flag for me are con staffers and volunteers. Genuinely, the people that help run furry conventions and help volunteer and help out to make these events happen, literally keep the furry fandom from falling apart. If IRL events in furry did not exist, there would really be no furry fandom. Like, it would all just be Twitter drama and squabbles. It would be the most annoying place on earth because it would only exist online. So I'd like to elect on my end, my personal green flag within furry are just anyone who wants to contribute to the IRL experience of furry to happen. Anyone who plans or volunteers or staffs at cons, puts together events for other furries to happen, you genuinely keep this place from falling apart. You genuinely make this place a whole lot better. You are all green flags. And I genuinely mean that. So I know a lot of these are going to repeat a lot of what we talked about before and the points we made before, but I still want to go over the replies and the comments just because they're very heartwarming and nice, and it just goes to show there is a common idea that a lot of people have about furry and what really is a green flag or a good factor that they see within it. So let's go over a bunch of these other ones. I'm sure you can already draw the comparisons of what I talk about here from previous comments, but regardless, let's keep going over them. Probably said about 100 times, but when a furry sends you a pic of your fursona species and goes, "It's you," or when they know your specific likes and they send you art, stories, videos of that like out of the blue. I'm new to drawing and I get friendly people who send me art tips to help me out. It's been heartwarming to find friends willing to give gentle pointers. Intense love. It's no wonder the media is tapping into the furry market recently. Furries create and love art so intensely that it often overflows onto other fandoms to the point of going massively viral. The resurgence of stickers and pins are only the most recent example of this. Oh, I didn't actually think about that, huh? I mean, I guess that just comes down to niche individual interests that some furries have for one specific little thing, and that just blows up into a big thing and becomes viral. I didn't actually think about that. You know, stickers and pins weren't really like a big thing that I would like go to collect or want to have, and furries I feel like have rejuvenated that market. I feel like that's a green flag in and of itself. Always accepting. The furry fandom is the first fandom I joined. I was afraid in joining the fandom at all because I'm really cringe and awkward, but when I joined, it's as if those things didn't matter. As long as I didn't hurt anyone or anything, then I was welcome. And that's what it should come down to. At the end of the day. I mean, I'm sure there's some other little caveats here, but realistically, that's it. I'm gonna be like the rest and say the community. It's always so much fun to see what's going on in the fandom, except when it's not, and just seeing all the wonderful art and people. I've met so many delightful people in this fandom, and I wouldn't be where I am without it. If they have blue on their Sona, green flag. Thank you, Ryder. Very cool. Blue on Sona. Let's go. I love that it's an outlet to not be a human and be whoever you see yourself as, and the encouragement to do so like it's the norm, and the freedom of expression. Also the acceptance in the art, and the ease of making new friends, despite the dating market for straight furs. Absolutely fair. I love how encouraging so many furries in the artist part of it are. I hardly ever see any hate given towards newer artists. People are often very encouraging and helpful in sharing what they've learned to help new artists. I can relate to this personally as someone who has been trying to get back into art recently and just kind of sucks at it. I don't really have anyone like insulting what I do. I mean, yeah, I know it's not my best work and it's just like a sketch that like I haven't drawn since I was like 5 years old or something. It might not be the best ever, and I don't know where it's going to lead. I don't even know if I'm going to keep doing it. But the fact that I'm getting so many pointers and support for it and people encouraging me to keep going really does make a big difference, and it helps a lot. So yeah, it just kind of goes hand in hand with supporting others in their interests, their passions and hobbies, even within or outside of furry. Watching people be their complete, unadulterated selves makes me thrive. The absolute punk not giving a dang about what others think fuels my soul. And it's also super attractive. They accept people no matter what age into the fan base. My mom actually ended up giving up smoking for good back in 2019 because she wanted a fursuit so badly. So not only are they accepting and loving, but the furry community are lifesavers too. I don't know what else to say to this besides that is so goddamn precious. Oh my god. That is just so beyond wholesome and so much of a green flag. I think that's where we're going to leave things off here. Honestly, I feel really happy and really hopeful in the fandom and community after going through all these. Thank you so much for your replies and comments to this. We see it so often where negativity is a very, very big point to discuss things on Twitter or on social media, specifically the furry side of it, because we all love furry drama and discussing what the next hot take is of the week. We all want to get into it and talk about it and discuss it in depth. And that's why I wanted to do this video, just as a reminder that, you know, not everything is doom and gloom, and not everything is a bummer. And there are some genuinely great people out there that love and support this community and want to see it thrive. I think all of us are just here to enjoy it at the end of the day, but I think there are a lot of really good things that we don't really talk about furry. A lot of what is talked about is like, what could be better? What is awful? What is this awful thing that came up that we all need to talk about? You know, it's very easy for us to talk about the negatives rather than the goods, or stuff that's already going right and going really well. And hopefully listening to and reading over a lot of these comments helps give you guys a bit of hope and happiness within the community like it did me. Because this really is an amazing place to be. I'm happy every single day I'm here. I've met some wonderful friends. I wouldn't be in the position I am today if I hadn't made that 7 levels of being a furry video and started as a furry hater and then ended up being a furry now. Woohoo, look what happened. Wow. But regardless, those are pretty much the green flags that I wanted to go over today. It's 4 a.m., so I'm gonna go to bed. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and watching this video.